In the mid-70s, the United States faces one of the worst crises in its history. The American dream is betrayed by its most important representative, and America learns that not all wars can be won. The king of rock and roll dies of an overdose, and legends become victims of their time. Tougher heroes are needed for the future. In cinema, press and radio, the topics of discussion are social injustice, self-alienation, and the deterioration of personal relationships. The colourful pop optimism of the last decade has become disillusionment, and this is reflected in comics. Characters question their motivations and their ideology. They talk about death, drugs, and ecological disaster. While capturing the spirit of the times, Neil Adams' style reminds its readers of the comic strips of the past, but with a new graphic realism full of angles and contrasts. His nearly photographic approach to drawing subjects as unreal as superheroes is so radical that it becomes the other way of drawing them, contrasting with the work of Jack Kirby and the Great Masters. A few years later, another talented artist, John Byrne, comes on the scene to produce easily read stories that contain enough elements of suspense to attract an adult audience. His work is a perfect example of the type of comics that will take over in the 80s. For instance, the updating of Superman is just one example. Beginning in the late 60s, comic books for adults become very popular in the US. There's a wide choice: terror, science fiction, humor, etc. Then finally, heavy metal appears. This is an American version of the French magazine Metal Hurlant. Heavy metal introduces a new option into the market based on graphic stylism. It offers stories on the fringes of the mainstream which provoke a visual explosion that, while not producing the fabulous European success, brings to the market an audience that was very different from the one before.
We publish the finest European and American fantasy art. Something that has happened throughout the years, which I guess is very normal, when a magazine like Heavy Metal, which is considered a fine art magazine in the States, publishes different various artists from Europe who, before we might have published them, because Heavy Metal is very much a showcase for these artists, no one ever heard of them, no one ever wanted to publish them, because it gets back to the old problem of comics for adults. They don't want to know from it. You know, mass market don't want to deal with that. They really think comics, children, and that's it. And any kind of comic art for adults is probably a little warped. You know, of course, we know that's not the case.
American public demands a new and more sophisticated form of comics, something close to a graphic novel appears on the market, as opposed to superheroes. That's when books with extremely well thought out styles appear, together with adaptations of novels and other stories, and drawings which are done by the best illustrators in the country. Gray Morrow, Alex Nino, Howard Chaykin, or Steranko are the major attraction.
I don't like guys running around in their underwear with masks. I think it's stupid. I know more about sex than I know about violence, and I know more about music than I know about flying, you know, and that's just life.
The springing up of specialized bookstores allows new comic book publishers to compete with the two major ones, Marvel and DC. These two develop strategies for a counterattack. At Marvel, American writer Chris Claremont brings up to date X-Men, a successful series of the 60s. In a country 200 years old, disillusion can't last forever. In the 80s, an ex-film star with a special appeal gives back to the American nation its faith in the future. The American dream isn't dead. America will again be united, free, and powerful. While Marvel continues modernizing itself, the company decides to publish Epic, an innovative magazine similar in style to Heavy Metal, but containing only American material.